Welcome to the Taking the Lead podcast, where we empower people to be unstoppable. I'm Christina Hepner with my co-hosts Leslie Hoskins and Timothy Cuneo. I can't believe it's officially summer. We are at the end of June, and summer is in full swing.
It's happening.
It's
hot.
Yep, that summer heat's starting to build up here in the south, so Glacier's not happy.
Yeah, see, I'm not jealous of you in the summer.
No. And also Glacier. How'd you get a dog named Glacier and living in the South? It just feels wrong.
Well, see, the puppy raisers were working on the G's for their dog.
Oh.
And she's from Wisconsin, so the glaciers carved out the Great Lakes.
Yes.
So that's where it comes from.
Look at us. We're like a history podcast right now, telling us about the Great Lakes and how they're formed. I love this.
So that's where they get the G from.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's incredible that they raised that many puppies that they're on G. So thank you to them. But Timothy, what's going on this summer? What are you doing?
Well, I know August, I'm headed to Freeport, Illinois. I got to do a car show for the Cedarville Lions Club. They raise about $12,000 to $14,000 for leader dog in one day.
Wow.
So they're going to be a double dog.
Oh.
And they take pride in that.
As they should.
So now with the new campaign that's up right now, anybody who donates $8,500 gets to name a suite in the dog complex there, and so they'll be able to name a suite now because they're going to give $12,000 most likely.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you to them, and thank you for going.
Yeah,
and I'm going to some other clubs down here in Georgia, trying to get some more donations out of them in my backyard. So I'm headed to Monroe and then to Madison and some other Lions clubs, trying to get the donations to ramp up a little bit out of the state of Georgia.
Yeah, that's very cool. You always have such a good impact sharing your story. People can really hear what their donations and money are going towards, like the end result there with all of the services and with Glacier and everything. So that is wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that, Timothy.
Well, it's not a problem. I enjoy doing it, and if I'm sitting around the house, I want to be out doing something. I enjoy going out, and of course, I'm a big talker, so I like to talk. So it comes naturally.
Oh, I didn't know that you like to talk.
Oh, yes.
And people love hearing you talk. We get a lot of requests from Lions Clubs, of course, specifically, but other groups too. They'll hear you on the podcast and hear your story and know that it's so impactful. So they want you to come, and we love that you do that.
Yeah.
Well, next time I'm up, I want you guys to come. If I get to come up to the summer visits, I'd like for you guys to come out and hear my speech. It's changed a lot in the past 3 or 4 years.
We haven't heard it in a while.
That's a really good point, Timothy. I don't think I have heard you speak in a minute.
Well, I think a couple of people haven't heard me speak up there, but I would like for everybody to come out one time and hear it because, after doing it after a while, as I try not to stumble much, but it's gotten better. Because practice and all that stuff, and it's a very emotional speech. I went to Alabama here a couple of months ago, and out of the state of Alabama, we were not getting any funds out of, sadly, at that point. But I can gladly say now that that's changed. But people get very emotional, and you can tell the crowd's real quiet and listening to you, and you capture them. And I enjoy doing that because I'm telling the truth about my life and examples of other people who benefit from Leader Dog. And it's a pleasure because I feel like I'm helping somebody else out, even though I've got Glacier and the O&M training, but I'm helping somebody else. And, one day Glacier's going to retire. So in a sense, I'm helping myself again. Mm-hmm. And so I just love talking about it because Leader Dog is a great organization. And when you're passionate about something, it makes it easy. And I even still cry today when I'm doing my speech because I get so emotional about it.
Well, then I can't come listen.
Yeah,
I'm basically crying right now.
Leslie is a crier. We all know that.
Well, we all know that. But if Kelsey heard my speech for the first time, I called her raccoon eyes that night because she'd come up afterwards and her mascara was running down her cheeks and everything.
Yeah.
So Kelsey's heard it, but I really enjoy doing it, and I love traveling, saying what and being the ambassador for Leader Dog. It's been a pleasure of mine.
Well, we greatly appreciate everything you do. We couldn't do what we do without you because nobody wants to hear Leslie and I.
Well, we got other people go out, like Joey Johnson. He goes out, and some other people. A Walker goes out, and we still have Jeff Hawkins and BJ, and we all sit out there, and all of us together. We're an army. We go out and we talk about Leader Dog, and we want more people to be able to go to Leader Dog. That's why what we do.
Yeah. We're very lucky. We've got a lot of client speakers. We've got Kayla and Jill and a lot of others who also join and do that. So thank you to you and all of them and everybody else. Honestly, every client, every volunteer, every donor is a Leader Dog ambassador. And we're so thankful that people continue to share the mission and what we do. So that's incredible. So it's going to be a big summer, lots of plans, lots to do. But today we are so excited because we have two wonderful guests who have very, very important roles with Leader Dog.
Yes, today we're joined by Lauren and Greg, a dedicated volunteer duo with Leader Dogs for the Blind. Lauren began her journey as a puppy raiser in 2023 and has since taken on roles as a community engagement, blindfold walk, and temporary foster volunteer, all while working full-time as a nurse anesthetist. Greg, a lifelong dog lover and licensed nursing home administrator with over 25 years in long-term care, brings a passion for service and connection. 2 years ago, he and Lauren teamed up to become puppy raisers and community engagement volunteers, combining their love of dogs with a mission to make a difference.
Lauren and Greg, welcome to the podcast. We're excited you're here. Can you both tell us what got you involved and want to be involved with Leader Dog? And we'll start with Lauren.
Hey, Timothy. Thanks for having us here. Basically, back in 2023, I believe that was the first time you guys took over the winter run and renamed it from the to the Frozen Paws from the Fire and Ice that Rochester used to host. So we used to do that run many times with a group of running friends. And this time when Leader Dogs was there, I saw the booth about a puppy raisers and breeding host families and talked to Greg and said, hey, would you do this with me? I had recently just lost my mom and taken over as the primary caregiver for my dad, who has some disabilities himself. And I just wanted a positive change in my life. And Greg was working from home at the time, so he willingly agreed to help me out with this project.
Okay, so Greg, Lauren approaches you with this question, and what was your thoughts? What were your feelings?
So, again, thank you for having me. First off, this is wonderful listening to your podcast. So, again, growing up, having dogs, being very, very familiar with Leader Dogs for the Blind, it was something that kind of always wanted to do in the back of my head. And given the option, given the opportunity, it was like, yeah, okay, sounds like fun. It's another dog, but not knowing exactly, what we were getting into as we found out, and we will find out.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your journey, because since then, I feel like a lot has happened. Yeah. You guys really jumped in with both feet.
I know, that was only 2 years ago.
Right?
I would have thought you would have volunteered for years with everything you guys have done.
They pulled a Christina. They saw a puppy and they were like, jumping in 2 feet, we're all in. So tell us what happened, Lauren, from that point on.
It's very true. We did jump in both feet, all in. But like I said, we are looking for something positive, a positive change, and that definitely has been what we found at Leader Dog. You sign up for the dog because you think a puppy, what can be unpositive about a puppy and loving you and all the fun and excitement that comes with it. And that's true. But then along the way, you get to meet all of the people, and the people are what makes you stay. They're constantly saying thank you, whether it be, at a function that we go to, and Melissa Weiss makes, a special trip to come up to you just to say thank you for being a puppy raiser. Thank you for being here. The chair of the board, John Reed, comes up and remembers not only my dog's name, but my name, which is just dumbfounding to me.
Yeah, it is.
And then you just saw the puppy counselors, constantly saying thank you, meeting some of the clients and being able to hear their story. Has just made such an impact on wanting to stay, and just especially even out and about in the community when we take the future Leader Dog with us. Every store that you stop at, you have to plan an extra half an hour for any errand, because people are going to approach you and they're going to ask you and, wonder about the dog and want to share their experience and their story. And, they're always appreciative, and, it's people in the community even recognize the dog that you're with, and they'll come up and they'll be like, oh, hi, Olaf, how you doing today? So they remember.
So Lauren and Greg, you wake up one morning and you got your little puppy. And so what is a day like to be a puppy raiser? What is going to happen that day?
It's getting them out, very, very quickly, and often, but having, so we have a now almost 5-year-old lab of our own, so used to the dog and whatnot, but now it's, oh shoot, now we got to remember it's a puppy. So it's hustling them out the door, every 10 minutes, 15 minutes and, waking up. And so and it's not a scary thing or, don't want anyone listening to think that, oh my God, I could never do that. Sure you can, you lose a little sleep in the beginning and you get them out and then it's just doing the simple stuff, hey, we get to play with a puppy. When, as Lauren kind of alluded to, when we walk into a store or when we walk somewhere, people kind of ignore us. We're like the invisible one, and their faces just light up at seeing this adorable little puppy, wearing a bandana, and then as they grow. So again, it's normal everyday life. You let them out, you feed them, and then we start to train them, and we're just doing the basics. We're not splitting the atom here with them.
Well, being a guide dog user, I can tell you that does not change when you're working a dog. Same thing happens to me when I go anywhere. Oh, look at the dog. They don't see me. They see the dog. So that never ends. So.
Yeah, it seems that in hearing a lot of the different podcasts and a lot of the different client stories, there's a lot of parallels between the puppy raising and, the guide dog users. You have to be concerned about, what type of environment you're bringing the puppy to, and I know you guys have alluded to that too. Sometimes you got to bring out your white cane and you got to leave your guide dog at home because it's just not a good environment for that dog. Or, I've heard you guys talk about that changeover of, when it's time to retire your guide dog and starting all over with a new one and how you build that relationship with them. And, that's kind of the same for us with the puppies is you turn in this almost perfect year-old dog that you've been working with and you know exactly what to expect and you know what types of environments you can take them to, and now you're starting all over with every 10 minutes having to rush outside to prevent an accident and, not really knowing what is this dog going to go after and, having to constantly be on the lookout for, what's on the floor, what's coming up, what do I need to avoid? And, it's there's a lot of parallels that I've heard.
Yeah. And Lauren, you have the puppy here with us in the studio. Can you tell us a little bit about the puppy?
Oh, I would love to. This is Yarvi. As a puppy raiser, we're very fortunate that the majority of the time you get to pick the name for the dog. And so for Greg and I, the theme that we've kind of stuck with, it sounds like for Glacier, he was in the alphabet. But for Greg and I'm an avid scuba diver. So all my dogs have had a scuba themed name. But Greg is not a scuba diver, even though I've tried my best to convince him to take classes and join.
I did it a long time ago and never got my open water cert. So it's back on the to-do list, but I don't mind doing it. It's fun. It's just, other things got in the way.
Tried to kind of combine both of our, passions since we both were doing this project together. And Greg's family is from Finland. So we looked up a couple different words in the Finnish language and it is not an easy language to pronounce. so there was like a couple words that we could come across. Our first dog, we went with the Silio, which means tank, as in a scuba tank in the Finnish language. Olaf, our second future leader dog, came to us as a sponsored dog, so we didn't get to name him. But Yarvi means lake in Finnish.
Oh.
And let me tell you, this dog pees like he is living in a lake. So I think we found the appropriate name for him.
I think that's so funny that dogs and people sometimes really live up to their names.
Yes.
So you really got to think about that when you're naming anything, anyone, any pets. That's so funny.
So you guys are both on puppy number 3. Is this something you'll continue to do for multiple puppies, or do you ever see yourself becoming breeding hosts? What do you think your journey is?
I think for sure we'll continue to do this, but I know if, we've kind of had the side conversation. If, one of them gets chosen to be used for breeding services, we probably would. I mean, the way our current setup is with neighbors and whatnot, so far we're just sticking with males, so we probably won't go the female
Yeah.
route. But we don't want to have to
We
have
have
an unfortunate
two
conversation
unneutered
with.
male border collies next to us, and I do
Oh,
not
yeah.
want to have to explain that to leader
Yeah.
dogs.
Oh, by the way, if that opportunity comes, it's something that we may end up discussing. So for the last month now, we turned Olaf in 2 weeks ago Friday.
Oh, wow.
And so briefly we had 4 in the house, 4 dogs, so three had their stuff together. They had the routine. We had our routine. We were good. And then little puppy came along, so that threw a couple of monkey wrenches in. And, just kind of along the lines of how did our day go, going back to that, okay, now it's scrambling to get which dogs out at which time and, to try to get all 4 to do what they need to do without them going in 4 different directions. Me personally, I'm looking at one of them, and so there's a white lab, there's a black lab, there's a adult yellow lab, and now the puppy yellow lab. Easily distinguishable for us, with or without her glasses on, and yet, I'm constantly calling them the wrong names. I'm looking right at Sileo, the black lab, and I'm calling him Olaf. Olaf is the yellow lab. Nitrox, get over here. Nitrox is the white lab, and I'm looking at Yarvi. So, that just added a little bit of, I don't want to say stress, but just extra chaos, to the hood. But otherwise, it's fun. I think we will still continue to raise, the puppies, and it's been an unbelievable experience so far in little over a couple of years, and we're eternally grateful for the opportunity to hopefully provide a useful beast, for someone and so that they can help see the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So do you find it easier now, every time you get another dog, easier to know what you're going to go through? And do you change a little bit because of the dog's, behavior or the way they act? Do you adjust a little bit, or is it the same all the time?
Never the same. It's definitely an adjustment. And I have to say thank you to our puppy counselor, Cindy, who reminds me that when I show up to class and I have concerns
She's awesome.
about dealing with this new puppy and this puppy is doing X, Y, and Z and we're having trouble with this, she's like, Lauren, this is not Sileo. This is Olaf. Lauren, this is not Olaf. This is Yarvi. And there's that changeover, and it's different. And you're working on different things with every single puppy. And that starting over is definitely a hard thing. And having those puppy counselors that kind of remind you of that is very helpful. But yeah, I love doing it. The changeover is a challenge every single time. I can't say that it was any easier to turn in dog number 2 than it was to turn in dog number 1. But you know what to expect. And you know that, in the back of your head, you're like, okay, this is the pattern that we're going to go through. It's the same way that the dogs learn. We're learning the same way. We're learning the pattern. It doesn't make it any easier, but it makes it a little bit more, easy to understand and to know and anticipate what to expect.
Yeah. And you talked about your puppy counselor. So you're not in this alone.
No.
There's a whole community. Let's touch on that aspect a little bit, because I think sometimes people think, okay, I'm going to pick up this puppy. Now what do I do?
Yeah. So this, the way that it's structured is that not only do we have a puppy counselor who is also a volunteer, and they're the ones that we are obligated to go at least once a month to a class with them, and they teach us how to teach the puppy. Now, Greg and I in particular, especially being newer puppy raisers and feeling clueless and not knowing that what we're doing, we try to go more often, and sometimes we go to other classes too, because each person has their own things to contribute. And the way I look at it is, one person might tell me to do it this way and another person tells me to do it a different way, but maybe this way works with me and this puppy and a different way works with me and another puppy. And it's just a different tool in our toolbox as a puppy raiser. But we also have a puppy coordinator, and that's actually an employee of Leader Dog. And they're the ones that kind of keep track of where the puppies are at and help the puppy counselors if they need anything like that, and kind of keep you on track. I would say the other part of the team for the puppy raising is the other people you're raising with, and that's a big part that it's also a community for us, and we've been very fortunate to be able to do some fun outings with the other puppy counselors or not puppy counselors, I'm sorry, puppy raisers, and you just kind of coordinate amongst yourselves and you plan an outing. We've been able to, with maybe 5 or so different puppy raisers, plan a trip that we just randomly go take the train down into Ann Arbor and have a lunch, walk around, practice some loose leash walking, and take the train back just to expose the puppy to that type of a transportation, or we get together and we go down and tour the DIA and ride the queue line, or we get together and we go to a Wings game. And so we get to do all these different fun activities that you might not otherwise get to do. And so, yeah, it is just part of a team atmosphere.
As Lauren said, yeah, definitely that team, that community, it's great. We're all in this together. I mean, all the puppy raisers, yippee, we're on dog number 3. People we were newbies and we're still newbies and we'll continue to be newbies. There's people, in class that we see regularly. They're on dog, 7, 8, 10, 30, and, it's amazing because we can always reach out to each other and just see and learn. And again, the puppy counselors, Cindy and the others are just amazing. I mean, they're always there to provide that help or answer a question if we may have. We've all gone through the same problems. We'll all have the same problems, but all the dogs are just different but we're all going for the same goal. And it's great to have that teamwork, that community.
I love that. And you guys, again, have really jumped in because not only did you start the puppy raising, but then you quickly were like, what more can we do? Which we love as Leader Dog volunteers. So you got involved with the community engagement volunteers. And Lauren, I know we spoke kind of before the podcast about how that's really helped kind of when out in the public. Because as you guys mentioned, right, you can't go anywhere with a puppy and people not stop you. They want to know all about what you're doing, who's your dog, why are you doing it, what motivates you, kind of all those things. So how has that whole experience been?
I have to say, joining that community engagement team was probably one of the best things I did, even to assist me as a puppy raiser, because I didn't know about all of the other aspects of Leader Dog and the services they provide. I just knew about the puppy raising, and we didn't know about all of even the different media and the social media posts and the videos online that we could access, because you're just so overwhelmed with this new project of trying to not mess up this puppy that you can't absorb all the other things at once. So it was about a year after we first started being puppy raisers that we joined this community engagement team. And we just learned so much more about the world of blindness. It's a world that we really didn't know much about. And so just being able to immerse into that and understand the different services, I feel I can be a better advocate now. And when I show up to do a presentation for the community engagement team, it might be a school, it might be a group of Cub Scouts or Girl Scouts, it might be, an older women's group or a church, and they just want to know more about the organization. And they really do want to know more because there's been times where I show up for an event and some of the people there recognize me. They actually invited us back because they heard us do a presentation to their church group and they wanted this other group that they're part of to hear the same message. And so they invite us there and I show up and they recognize the dog first, yes, of course, but then they recognize me too. And they remember what we've said because they'll raise their hand and they'll be like, oh, you guys told us about the electric vehicles and how they train the dogs with those. Can you please tell this group about that? And can you please tell this group about Leader Dog, the main fundraiser of Dinner in the Dark? They remember what we're telling them, and they really want to pass on the message to other people. So I just think that that's pretty amazing. There's been a group of kids that I did a presentation for at a elementary school, and the one teacher told me that this is the second time they've invited Leader Dog back to do the presentation because they want the kids to understand different aspects about the community and that there might be people out there that are different and they might not grasp the whole concept of the organization and what they provide. But just knowing that this was a presentation that this classroom earned. So they had to do good things in order to earn the ability to hear and see the dog and hear about the different things in the community. And I thought that was a very positive thing, is let's start young and kind of teach the young kids that there's other people out there that are, just different and that it's okay.
I love that. Just different and it's okay. That is something I try to preach to my kids all the time too, right? Kindness goes so far. And what a boring world if we were all exactly the same. Ew, I don't want any part of it. But anyways, as we're kind of wrapping up here, I'm curious, Greg, thinking about the last couple of years as you guys have really dove into everything, what would you say to somebody who's considering puppy raising? Maybe they've, all they've got are these fears and concerns and things like that. What would you say to somebody?
Just simply take that leap, take that plunge, go for it. I mean, it's an amazing opportunity to help give back, and whether it's as a puppy raiser, whether it's, a volunteer on campus. People always ask, oh my God, how do you do that? I mean, you guys must be, amazing trainers. And it's like, we're bribing the dogs with food, we're quote unquote cheating. But we're rewarding them for the behaviors that we want, my dog could never do that. Sure they can, but it takes, a little bit of work, but it's really not that hard. So it's an incredibly rewarding opportunity for us. Just briefly, we've been blessed and fortunate enough to go to the Dinner in the Dark, and again, people ask, how can you give the dog back? Or, when you hear the stories of the clients, listening to, the people talk a couple of years ago or last year, the little boy Caleb, I still cannot recount that story without tearing up. I haven't met him, but my God, but again, to hear what these dogs mean, to the clients, to understand, it just makes it all worth it. It makes it easy. It's not that hard. It's a little bit of time during our day, to help train the dog and give back. And again, we're doing the simple stuff. The real stars are the clients and the GDMIs and the rest of the trainers. We're just playing with a puppy, for a year and doing some very basics, so for those thinking about it, do it. It's an incredible experience to be able to give back.
Well, as a client, I like to thank both of you for doing what you do, because you guys are the foundation of Leader Dog. Without you, all this is impossible, because it takes our puppy raisers. We gotta have a beginning, and you guys are the beginning of it. And I want to thank you as a client for doing what you do.
Well, and as a puppy raiser, I want to thank you for sharing your story, because that's the way that it makes it possible for us to turn in this dog that we've found a bond to, is to hear the stories and to see what a difference that our year with these dogs has made.
Yeah. And Lauren, I know we're all, I just want to read your quote again. You said that we came for the puppies, but we stayed for the people. And I think that seriously just wraps up Leader Dogs for the Blind. Sometimes as an organization, that is typically how we attract people. Dogs, puppies, they're so cute, but people do stay for the people. And it's our clients, of course, but it's other volunteers. It's the team members, it's donors. It is this community and sense of belonging and family that we create at Leader Dog. I've been with Leader Dog for 11 years. I feel the same way. I love it. I love this organization. I love everybody involved. So thank you guys so much for doing what you do, but also joining us today and sharing your story and your experience. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you so much to our listeners for listening to the Taking the Lead podcast. I'm Leslie Hoskins with hosts Timothy Cuneo and Christina Hepner. We hope you enjoyed learning about Lauren and Greg and their volunteer roles here at Leader Dog. Please join us next time as we continue to dive into the world of blindness.
If you'd like to learn more about applying to our free services at Leader Dog or becoming a puppy raiser, you can head to leaderdog.org or call us at 888-777-5332. Don't forget, you can reach us at takingthelead@leaderdog.org with any questions or ideas. If you like today's podcast, make sure to hit subscribe and check us out wherever podcasts stream.